All right, good afternoon, Holly. It is a little bit rainy today. Wasn't expecting all that rain to hit last night, but thanks for joining this afternoon. And I guess let you introduce yourself and let us know how your campaign is going up there in 14.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it is monsooning here, so luckily we can do this over the phone. I am Holly McCormack, and I'm running for Congress in Georgia 14, like you said, against Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm in Ringgold, Georgia. It's where I'm from, so way at the top of the district. I'm a mom. I am an agent, an insurance agent, a business owner, work from home, kids school from home, especially with this year. So the campaign is going fantastic. We've gotten an early start, got a lot of early support. We've hit the ground running and spending a lot of time in the district talking to folks.
In running against her, how, I'll just call it dangerous is that because of what comes out of her mouth?
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely the first concern. Once I decided that, we have to do this, that was definitely something that we prepared for, that we think of, all the contingencies. We know what she did with her last opponent that was brave enough to run against her in this district. And so, I talked to my husband, I talked to the kids, and we really just looked at how can we do this, not if we're going to, but more of just a moral obligation with, you're right, the hate-filled rhetoric that is continually spewing from her. So, different things to offend different communities in the nation. So, and the extremists that she is riling up. So we are careful with that. My team is careful with that to make sure we keep an eye out, but it's not how politics should be. We should be able to stand up for what we believe in and be safe, and our families to be safe at the same time.
Yeah, I firmly agree with you. I'm a lifetime Georgian. I'm from South Georgia and moved up to the Atlanta metro area in 2003. And my parents didn't raise me like that. And and I don't know if you're a lifetime Georgian as well, but I'm a Southern guy, and my parents are still with me, and to act like some of these folks do, they would be ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how did we get here in 2020, 2021 that this is somehow acceptable?
I don't know. I think it's a slippery slope, That's what we're trying to do is bring back some sanity and look around, and it doesn't matter if you're left or right. I don't think any of us were raised to act like this, And I know I don't raise my kids to act like this. I raise them to stand up for people, definitely never bully, but also to step in if they see an injustice or if they see somebody being bullied. And that's what she is. She's a bully. And you're right. It's from, years of this hate speech that normalized it, and we need good people to stand up, regular people, for how we were raised, what our values are, and to undo some of that. It's hate being sown, and we saw January 6th. We've seen throughout this entire last year what that hate will eventually produce, and now we're living it.
Yeah. It's so unfortunate. Now, I will say, and I've said it several times on the past episodes, thankfully that guy is out of the White House. He is in Florida, and he is not on Twitter anymore, because you had all of these reporters that were literally just sitting at their computer in front of their keyboard just waiting on him to tweet. And we don't have that anymore, thankfully.
Yes, yes.
That was spewing so much on both sides. And I feel like America can sit back and breathe a little bit because we don't have that constant barrage of those tweets coming out almost every 30 seconds or every minute. Thankfully, we have that now. But then we still have to deal with people like Marjorie.
Yeah. Well, and I think she really filled, nationally, since that is the culture that has become normalized, now that there's a void in that hateful way of behaving, she's just stepped right into it. She's filled that void for that culture. And even in the district, there was in Northwest Georgia, we're right between Chattanooga and Atlanta, so definitely bigger cities. And there's always been a void in leadership on either side, resources, information, just, anything. It's like we're just skipped right over. So like you said, she was running, in another district, saw that would be a much more difficult thing for her to accomplish, and just swooped in here. And so when she stepped in and littered the district with her signs, it really, there was a void in leadership of any type, So I don't think people looked much further, but I know that a lot of people are regretting that now.
I think I've seen some of the interviews of some of the folks in your district and your neighbors up there that just their jaws were dropping. Like, who is this woman? She didn't even live in the district. Well, let's confirm. Right. She did physically move up there, right?
I believe she rented a place. I'd be surprised if she moved here full time. She rented a place and then announced that she was running immediately after. So, I mean, as far as that's the difference here. It's the biggest difference. Well, other than our values and the way that I do not behave, is that I'm from here. I've lived here my entire life, and I've lived the struggles of the people in this district. With not having resources or not being wealthy or, all of it. I'm fully aware, have lived it recently. So she's an outsider and not super in touch with reality. So we're going to fill that leadership with somebody that has lived it and has integrity and empathy.
Yeah, I think that's clear. I think that's enough about her. And I think Stacey Abrams, a really good quote from Stacey Abrams that I've said, identity politics will be the death of us. And choosing to vote, for people just because they look like you or they seem to, hang out with you or things like that. A lot of that is what has gotten us to where we are, unfortunately. Instead of actually looking at, your platform and your position and what you really, stand for, or these single issue voters that are out there. There's not a perfect candidate.
Oh, of course not. And none of us are going to agree 100% on anything.
Right. But at the end of the day, if you choose to vote, you have to, choose one person on that ballot. And so, just to give you a few minutes here to talk about your platform, your top couple of things there. And as you've, been campaigning, at least for several months that I know of here, what you're hearing from, folks that you're working with up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are doing things a little bit differently, I think, than a lot of campaigns are run, mainly because I'm not a politician. But we started early because we know it's a huge race. We have a long uphill battle here, so we really wanted to focus on undoing some of that mindset, of divisiveness, that we are really focusing on. We are more alike than we are different. the values that we all live. And so to do that, to be able for people to get to know me as a person, like you said, not just having a blanket assumption, left or right, red or blue. We are doing a lot of good work in the district already. We're not waiting until I get elected. We are out listening to people in the district, talking to organizations that, volunteering. We are focusing on next week, rural revitalization. So what we're doing is an infrastructure week. Every day next week we are going to have a topic, and we have meetings lined up to speak with folks. The first thing that we are doing is we're speaking about childcare. This is, childcare is infrastructure, bottom line. And in our district childcare is really out of reach for people a lot of times. And even if most of the district can be considered a childcare desert, where the availability isn't there for the amount of children that are in the district and families. And even if it is accessible, it's not affordable. So, when my son was born, my husband and I had to work opposite shifts just to be able, because we needed two incomes, right, which most families do nowadays, and we couldn't afford daycare. Otherwise, I would be working just to pay for someone else to raise my kid. So for years, we didn't see each other, my husband and I, just to be able to afford, to provide for our family. And in other situations, I know people that are having to depend on grandparents to watch the kids. Grandparents is childcare. And, back in the day, that might have been something that's doable, but grandparents aren't retiring as early as they used to. So that's not even accessible. So, and our grandparents shouldn't have to be our childcare. We should invest in the communities, in the people in our community that take care of families and enable people to go to work. So, and enable them to have education and everything else. It's all on the backbones of our caregivers. So that's something that we're going to be talking about and mainly listening to. That's the big thing. We're in our listening phase. We want to hear what issues are important to people that live here and work here and deal with the struggle every day, so that we can help build our platform so that we can better serve. And that's the thing. You were, quoting Stacy and the identity politics. It's not about my ego, It's about serving the people who live in this district. And that's what we want to do. That's why we do so much work, and with the listening tour, with the listening phase. We're going to be talking a whole day about transportation. There's, the Amtrak train that they're discussing. We want a stop to be in Dalton, Georgia. It goes straight from Atlanta straight through our district. And when we give access to communities, then they're able to access opportunities. And that's what we want to focus on as well. What else? Broadband, rural broadband access. When we connect folks to the future, we're connecting them to opportunities. And, areas out here, for personal experience, for all of the interviews and all the work doing on the campaign, we had to make sure I had good internet access. So I actually had to pay to have an extra separate line run to the house. That way I would have good service. And, most people can't do that. Or cell phone reception, things like that. Everything is online nowadays. And to have opportunities in school, to have opportunities with jobs, especially during COVID, I'm working from home 100%. The kids are doing school from home 100%. And so that's what a lot of families are dealing with. So to have the availability of great service and affordable service. We're really focusing on the 3 A's of infrastructure, and that is accessibility, make it affordable, and American-made. So that is the main points with each of the subcategories of what we're going to be focusing on next week during Infrastructure Week.
Okay. Yeah,
and we could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, and as we're raising campaign funds, and then that would just be giving the money to the tech execs in Silicon Valley, and that's not what we want to do. We would rather be in the district, spending money here in the district, and listening to the people that live here. So we're doing things a little different than I think most campaigns are run.
Yeah, sounds good. And a couple of points that you brought up there. Tuesday of this week, my mom is looking to relocate up to Clayton, Georgia. And the fastest internet that I could, which is on the other side of North Georgia, but the fastest internet connection I could get for her was a 25 meg DSL connection through Windstream. And we'll see how it goes. But I know when you do these live streams, the upload speed is actually what's more important than the download speed. I'm sure you've run into that because I work in IT as well, and we'll see how that works out when I go up there, Tuesday to take care of that and get the appointment. And go from there. But
it's pretty shocking how slow it is.
Right here in 2021. I don't know the
exact numbers, but yeah.
I mean, and we still have these areas. Another point on that too. Supposedly, the EMCs here in Georgia are working to leverage all of the poles and the wires that they have out in rural Georgia to help that. We'll see what they're able to turn out of that. But there are some initiatives supposedly that the EMCs to be able to compete with the likes of the Windstreams and the AT&Ts and all those as well. So we'll see what that turns out with. But another gentleman who also worked in the telecom industry that I did an episode with recently, Dan McCrory, he lives out in California, but he actually worked in the telecom industry for a number of years, and he wrote a book, How Capitalism Killed the Middle Class, 25 Ways the System is Rigged Against You. And he echoes a lot of these ideas. I mean, if you look at my parents, my grandparents, you had that one income moneymaker in the household who was able to, keep that family afloat. And the mother was able to be the homemaker to care for the children and, do the house chores. You can't really do that anymore. And unless the main money maker in the household has a really, really nice job, or there's a family business that brings in a lot of money, the majority of folks are not that lucky. And you have what you described there earlier. You have the two individuals in the household having to bring in the money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that just looks at how everything has gotten. I'm sure that book talks about it. With everything's gotten more expensive and the pay hasn't gone up, so it hasn't been able to maintain that same lifestyle. And even with two people working, it's hard to maintain it,
Yeah. Now, the other thing that I would say about your district, the cost of living up there at least is lower, but along with that, you don't have the wages up there like you do in Metro Atlanta.
Right. Oh, yeah. Definitely not. And we want, that's part of it, with infrastructure, it ties all together with transportation, with rural broadband, with, all of it bringing jobs here. It is to build opportunities for our kids here in district, so that they can get great paying jobs and stay here and not have to go to a larger city to make a great income. So that's, building infrastructure for the future to where that's the rural revitalization that we're talking about, to be able to have those opportunities here.
Yeah. So what are some of the big industries up there that are there, and then some of the industries that the area is trying to attract?
Well, of course, in Dalton we have the carpet industry. It's huge. I think it's the largest in the world. So lots of manufacturing. That's the biggest here. Let me see. Yeah, I'd say the majority are blue collar. Definitely. And we're wanting, when you get faster broadband is how you can attract more of the tech companies. Chattanooga, Tennessee is right above us, and they have, years ago, Obama called Chattanooga Gig City. And it attracted, because they had the fastest internet, then these tech companies would come in, startups, because they said it was honestly quicker to send something or like put something on a thumb drive and get in your car and run it across town in other cities than they were able to send here. So they moved their business. And that's something that we can do and bring here as well. So, and to be able to bring the entrepreneurial spirit, to where we can have small businesses and give people the opportunity to work in their passion or work in their talent, because we have access to that here, to the internet. So it's all connected.
Yep. Any other stories? So you it's kind of interesting that you're working more on the ground, working with your neighbors, hopefully future voters there. Any interesting stories that have come out of these meetings that you've had?
We met with a sweet lady, we were in Rome, I believe. We were driving all over the place, but I'm certain it was in Rome now. It was mainly that they were surprised to see us. Me and the team walk in and want to chat because they've never had a representative come and ask them how they're doing or what's important to them or how this year has gone, with employment or getting their employees back. She was just so excited to have somebody come and ask her about her and her business was the biggest thing that we heard from folks. To have representation, to have somebody that has lived it, cares to listen, and will fight so that they're served and represented.
Yeah, I mean and we run into that here too in District 11 with Barry Loudermilk. He's been in office for years, and he unless you contribute money to him or in his circle, you don't hear from him. He'll send you emails, he'll tweet and do all that, but you can't get in touch with him, much less get a meeting with him. He doesn't do town halls. And
how could you how could you be representing people that you never talk to? Yeah. That seems very backwards.
Yeah, I mean, allegedly he wanted to be in office so bad, but we don't know. I guess you have to contribute money to them to actually get a word in their ear, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is, and I think there's a lot of benefit but one of the main benefits to me not being a politician is that doesn't make sense. And I don't have any loyalties for that type of relationship or relationships to start, And plus I'm in leadership development and in business. So a lot of those same skills are what I'm already very experienced in. So, and serving people, I got into my type of retirement protection and insurance because of my personal experience with my grandparents. My grandfather grew up very poor and then, was a milkman for years and years and years. He worked for Mayfield and saved, built his house with cash, did really, really well for himself. And when he was 2 years before he passed away, lost every bit of it. And it was very substantial. It was a substantial amount to a scam artist. So he actually was posing as a retirement specialist. He took from a lot of old folks in the area. And so for me, you know, if he had had somebody that cared enough to help plan, or I don't know, it would have looked a lot different for my nanny. And the way she went from totally set, not needing anything in the future, to living on $1,000, less than $1,000, Social Security per month. And, you know, that's unfortunate that our senior citizens are treated that way, and that's where what they're living on. So I'm very passionate about serving people. So it really just, it correlates from what I have done for years and in our community of just standing up for injustice, standing up for folks. So that's why I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, there does not seem to be a shortage of assisted living and retirement homes going up around the area. So that certainly has been in the news for better and worse around the area, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did a search in the area up there. Apparently in Rome, this hit the news this week up there. There is Georgia's first Latina-owned production studio that was built in Rome, the PAM Studios, if you may want to check into this.
PAM?
Yeah, PAM. You can 11 Alive, an NBC station, did this story. But I don't know if you've had any run-ins with the movie production and TV industry here in Georgia.
I haven't yet.
So I have to look into that. Maybe it's in your district or reaching out to them.
I'm taking notes. Yeah, definitely. I wonder how they're doing with the new voter suppression bill. I know that a lot of things were pulling out and definitely affecting jobs here in Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got that angle of it, but you've also got, over here closer to Atlanta, over at 285 and 85 near Spaghetti Junction, they've got that huge investment going into that area. So you hear both sides of that battle going on. But it would be interesting to see how that plays out. I think as long as the tax credit continues to be in place, I don't think that's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Although, the other side of that, the whole tax credit part of it, we've got differing opinions as to whether it's worth the expense of the tax credit. But that's more of a state issue. But maybe for another time we can go into all that.
Yeah.
All right, but any other stories, in your platform or anything that you're coming across as you're going around and campaigning there?
We're pretty excited to get together a group of veterans this next week, too, to talk about, their health care, I know there's one VA hospital in district, so they're probably traveling to Atlanta or Chattanooga for the most part. For VA care, there's no military cemetery in district, what their benefits look like, things like that. So we want to hear. I've got a few that are active duty still and a few that are retired to see how we can better serve the people that served us.
Yeah, for sure. And there's been a couple of veterans that I've done episodes with. There's a gentleman out in Louisiana, and then also there's a candidate here in District 11 that talk about all angles of that, physical and mental, care for veterans. So definitely something to look into there.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear from them, because that's definitely a life, it's totally different than what civilians deal with, and then they come back with, a lot of issues, we need to make sure that we're protecting and serving them just like they did for us. I was making notes and I lost my train.
No worries. Yeah, we're recording this on Saturday, April 24th. Do you guys have any upcoming events within the next couple of weeks you want to talk about?
Well, we have like I said, next week is jam-packed with meeting all these folks. I will have to let Nathan get back to you if we have any more than that. Tuesday is the 10th anniversary of the big tornadoes that came through. I don't know if they hit over on your area or not, but wiped out a lot of Ringgold. So we're going to be talking about that storm. We have 4 storm sirens in the district, which is absolutely insane. It's a pretty large spread out district.
Yeah.
So especially with the 10th anniversary coming up of that big tornado, we want to focus on that as well. I'm looking here. I wrote down that book that you said. I'll definitely look that up.
Yeah, I was reaching back out to Dan. I know there's a gentleman down here running in District 11. We may do another episode to talk about the book and the talking points again. If you might be willing to come back, but we'll see if we could work something out there too if you're interested.
Yeah. I wrote Dan and then the title of the book. What's his last name again?
Dan McCormack, and I'll send you the link there. And I think he's writing a second book, but it's Capitalism Killed the Middle Class. It's kind of a little bit negative way to look at it, but you got the whole Republican rhetoric of socialism that's so evil that they never want to talk about. How the rich keep getting richer, but the lower folks they never can get by.
Yeah, it's not negative. It's true. We're definitely going to look into that and read that, because it's just obviously not socialism. I don't think anybody's talking about socialism, but I'm my own boss, so of course I enjoy capitalism, and I love that we're the land of opportunity and you can build your own business, but it doesn't have to be so extreme, that that we don't take care of people around us, our old folks, our vets. That's it seems like that should be a value that is not controversial.
One would think. And these and these talking points about socialism, even my family that gets Social Security and Medicare, they love it, and that is a form of socialism. And yet the Republicans keep on just attacking it and attacking it over and over again. And I just sit back and shake my head. I'm like, do you realize what you guys keep voting for over and over again? I cannot comprehend it.
It's just one of the buzzwords, and in fact, I don't know what her sign said down in near you, but that's one of Marge's slogans was "Stop Socialism," and it's just fear mongering. It's not reality, so just gets people riled up.
Yeah, that seems to be the specialty in the Republican Party for sure. All right, any other topics you want to get in on this episode?
We're talking so much about next week. Let me think. Yeah, I mean, I think that's our main focus right now. We've I mean, definitely. Well, yeah, a few weeks ago, we actually, with the new voter suppression bill, we went down. That was the first opportunity that we had for an election. It was a special election in Whitfield County, so that's Dalton, Georgia. It was the first opportunity we had since that bill was signed, and so we went and passed out bottled waters to help educate on it, to protest such an extreme nonsense law that obviously will have selective enforcement, I'm sure, in areas that are, bigger cities and things. There shouldn't be hours-long lines to vote. And, all the things in that bill just really made it harder for citizens to vote. And so it's undemocratic, and that was just a small way that we were able to go and say, listen, this is not how it should be.
Yeah, and not only that, but also the potential that the state can just remove local and state level elections officials.
Yeah.
I think you remember when Kemp was running for governor and running his own election, by the way. I remember seeing the press releases of him at the state, as Secretary of State, not taking responsibility for anything. And he kept pointing the fingers of the counties, saying that, no, that's the county's responsibility. This is not my fault. But yet now you've got this, Senate Bill 202 that is the law of Georgia now, that they can just walk in and just take it over. And, just because they don't like the way that the vote is going. It's just
mind-boggling.
Yeah. That is much more dangerous than any of the stuff of, the water and all this other stuff that people are, that keep talking about.
To have control and to change the rules of your own game, it's shocking.
Yeah. And it's very clear that they are doing this because they know that they've got Abrams and Warnock on the ticket together next year.
Well, and by the way, I'm very excited about Stacey. She has been doing that hard work for years and years, and even with all the craziness that happened in 2018, she just continued, and so it's paying off. We see it paying off with Warnock and Ossoff. That's such a historic day, would have been all by itself. I'm very upset that January 6th overshadowed that because it was historic, and it's just the fruits of the labor that's been done. And so you're right, they are tightening up on things and changing the rules again because they see Georgia flipped the Senate, and so of course when there's progress, there's going to be tightening up of things to try to pull that back. But we've just got to keep educating people, keep engaging. That's what she's so great at, is engaging communities that are typically ignored, and we've seen that when more people vote, we've seen the way that goes. So
yep, for sure.
I think it's exciting regardless. It's exciting because it gives me hope of how things are going when normal citizens pull together and make their voices heard. And so that is, of course, they are threatened at how it's going. But that just means you're on the right track,
For sure. All right, well, that may be enough for today. Any other parting words or thoughts you got there?
I'm excited. I'm excited for this campaign. I'm excited to keep meeting folks in the district. I think we've made a lot of good headway already. And, you know, I'm as much of a long journey as we have, a lot of good work is going to get done in the meantime on the way to being elected. So I'm really excited for us to have representation that actually has lived what we've lived, what we do live in the district. So yeah, that's it. We're just hitting the ground hard and getting that work done.